Hello guys and welcome to my new video. So today I decided to cover MDI, Mythic Dungeon Invitational, which is season 2 is going to start soon. At least the proving grounds are going to start in like a week. On February 27th you're going to have the first week of affixes. And first of all, this video is going to cover things like which teams are looking extremely strong, which teams are looking to push really high mythic plus keys, which teams are looking really strong to maybe win the whole competition. I feel that season 1 was extremely popular. There was an approximate 1 billion people watching the whole season 1. There was unprecedented amount of people like really tuning in to watch a PvE competition, which usually never happens because there's not that many PvE competitions in World of Warcraft, and there's no reason for Blizzard not to continue this trend of pushing out Mythic Dungeon Invitationals, and I feel it's a really good move. First of all, I'll be covering what exactly is Mythic Dungeon Invitational, what teams are really strong. We'll be looking at some of the new affixes that have been uncovered in Battle for Azeroth. There's nothing to do with MDI, but it's, you know, it's Mythic Plus. It's Mythic Plus information right now. So first of all, MDI. The first proving, it's a little bit different from season 1. Season 2 is going to have a different qualification structure. So February 27th is going to be the first week of Proving Grounds. In this week you'll have 3 different affixes. So you'll have Raging, Volcanic and Tyrannical, which are really not that bad of affixes, and I'll see a lot. First of all, Tyrannical affix is usually considered to be harder than Fortified. If you look at the top Mythic Plus keys completed in this season, you'll see that most of them are in Fortified. So Blizzard has introduced a bit easier Tyrannical affixes when you consider that in March 6th, week 2 will begin, and week 2 will have Teeming, Explosive and Fortified. Teeming, Explosive, Fortified is pretty hard. If you know Explosive, first of all, Teeming, there's going to be more mobs. More mobs is going to mean more orbs. More orbs usually means more wipes. So this is definitely going to be a harder Fortified week. So I can see why Blizzard is doing this, because over the period of 2 weeks, you will have to complete 5. That's right, you have to complete 5 different dungeons at level 23. So from the way I read it, it does not matter what time you complete it, as long as it's in time of the dungeon. Doesn't matter if you complete it really fast or just like 2 seconds off the timer. That run will count towards you entering the competition, and you need to complete over the 2 weeks. You need to complete 5 dungeons. So I'm assuming from the way I read it, you might be doing Tyrannical keys, and you might be better at Tyrannical keys, so you'll mark the Tyrannical dungeon as your best one, or maybe you'll be better at the Fortified. So what I mentioned before is that Fortified is usually easier, but because of the 2 different affixes included in this qualification, Fortified affixes seems to be quite hard. So I'm expecting people to be doing a mixture of Fortified and Tyrannical keys and entering those dungeons into their qualification rounds. So a lot of people on Reddit and things like that have been complaining that, you know, I'm a heroic raider, I don't have that much gear, it's only built towards the mythic raiders who have like 970 item level, and like how am I supposed to compete into this? First of all, if you can't do 23 keys at any current item level and things like that, you probably should not be entering this competition, considering that a lot of the top end mythic teams will be looking at pushing 28s, plus 27s, plus 26. Like those are the kind of levels that you will be expected to do in the time trials. And time trials, once you do the 5 dungeons at level 23, you'll enter time trials, and time trials are going to be carried out in tournament realms. So presuming in tournament realms you can choose any class, you can have any gear you want, any legendaries you can have, you can like swap out anything, like you can optimize your character to the max, and the playing ground is equal. But right now playing ground is not equal, so technically the people, like, it's relatively not equal. You have to complete 5 dungeons at 23 item level. Item level at 23 level. Item level is going to play a part, but like I mentioned, time is not included. So as long as you can just complete it within the time limit of the dungeon, you should be fine, and maybe try out your luck in the time trials. So a lot of teams have been trying to form the groups. It's interesting to know that some regions have been excluded from this. Like if you live in Quebec, you cannot participate because of the, there's gambling laws, so Quebec people get wrecked. So there's a lot of, like, it depends on where you're from as well, so keep that in mind if you want to actually participate into this competition. So what teams are favorites? In Season 1 we saw some crazy teams coming through and winning the whole competition. We saw Oceanic servers dominating the whole competition, with number 1 and number 2 being from Oceanic servers, Free Marcy and Honestly. So not a lot of people expected Oceanic to dominate this much. So Oceanic rats are full of surprises. I cannot do a good Quinn impression, but either way, there can be a lot of different teams emerging and upsets happening. But I feel that due to the popularity of Season 2, there's going to be a lot more teams coming in. There's going to be even fiercer competition. We saw in Season 1 there were a couple of teams from some regions that really didn't do that well. Like, I mean, some of them barely completed some of the dungeons. So right now I feel it's going to be a much bigger competition and a lot more excitement. I'm expecting even more people to watch this Season 2. So let's look at the really strong teams from the US. So unless you've been living under a rock, you probably have heard of the US team, Shakib JD, Mythic team that has been spamming Reddit with world first dungeon keys. Like, they've been doing extremely well in Mythic Plus. They've been doing some 27s, 28s, world first, a lot of world first, and they have recently been signed by Method to represent the North American side. Free Method chairs all around, guys. There's going to be a lot of Method chairs going. But either way, I feel that's a really good move by Method, because this team, which includes Shakib, Avengers Demon Hunter, JD, Restoration Druid, Darky, Windwalker, Monk, Marvin, and Affliction Warlock, and Midbit, a Balanced Druid. So all of these classes are extremely strong in Mythic Plus, and there's no surprises there. There's no surprises there at all. They've been doing really high keys. A lot of the people stream as well, and they've been doing a lot of high keys, and they're quite, like, on the US side, they're probably the favorites. They're probably the favorites on the US servers to qualify to do really well. Now let's look at the European side. And European side, there's another team that's extremely strong, and it's like, this is probably going to be the Method European team, because this team, which I'm going to refer as Fragnance Gingy team, which are Method members or ex-Method members. Fragnance used to be in Method. He left Method, he joined Future. He used to play a lot of the OP melee classes, and now he re-rolled to an Affliction Warlock, another overpowered range class. And I can see why, because Affliction Warlocks, both of these teams have an Affliction Warlock in their squad. So you have a Blood DK, you have a Holy Paladin, you have an Affliction Warlock, you have a Marksmanship Hunter, and a Sub Rogue. They also did a couple of keys with a Havoc Demon Hunter. I'm not sure if that's going to be their final roster. We'll have to see if they're going to replace a Sub Rogue instead of a Havoc Demon Hunter, because it's usually not recommended to have 2 melee characters in Mythic Plus, depending on which keys you do. Shroud is too OP though, right? We'll have to see how it goes. But either way, I'm considering this to be as a Method European squad, because a lot of their keys, a lot of their world first keys have been submitted on Method YouTube accounts. So I'm almost assuming that Method is going to have a North American team, Method is going to have a European team, and both of these teams are looking extremely strong, with both of these teams completing 28 dungeons in time, completing 27s, like just dominating a lot of the Mythic Plus scene. Of course, there's other teams who are doing really well, but we'll have to see. So first of all, a lot of Method chairs are going around. So before I end the video, just highlighting the teams that I feel really strong, I'm going to cover the new affix that has been data mined in Battle for Azeroth. And considering that this video is all about Mythic Plus, Mythic Dungeon Invitational, why not? Blight, a new affix, damage and healing done increased when injured. So if you're lower HP, you're going to be dealing more damage, and reduced when you're healthy. So if you're 100% HP, I'm not sure by what percentage that's going to count. Like if you're 50% HP, maybe your damage is increased by 50%. Like, it's probably not going to be that strong, but either way, this affix basically recommends you not to heal. and let people sit low, and when the big boss damage is about to happen, you should top everyone up. So healers control this affix. Instant powerful heals are going to be really strong, because you'll want people to be really low, and when the damage is about to come in, you want to top them up in order for them not to get one shot. Now there's a lot of like kind of synergies that might happen. For example, this probably will never be paired with Grievous. Grievous makes like, it forces you to top people up to 100%, and Blight works completely against that. Like, I mean, it'll be interesting to see if that's ever gonna get paired up. Probably not. Overall, Blight, I see like Blight affix, like it'll probably work in lower keys where there won't be one-shot mechanics happening, where people like you can probably keep everyone up at like 80%, and you won't have to worry about any of the boss mechanics actually one-shotting or killing any of your members. But on high mythic keys, where the boss damage, like boss mechanics, will one-shot you even if you use your personals, where you have to rely on your external personals, your other player personals. You have to rely on shielding trinkets like Ishkar's Fell Shield Emitter. You have to rely on all of these little tips and tricks to actually not get one-shot. Being 100% HP is mandatory. So on the really high keys, I feel it to be like, it's going to be really strange, especially considering like certain healers, like for example Holy Paladin with Beacon of Virtue. You can keep everyone at 50% HP. A boss is about to do is AoE damage, like BRH first boss. The boss is about to do a big massive AoE across the board. Beacon of Virtue, one Holy Shock, and everyone's full, and then you can start popping your personals. For like thing like a Restoration Druid who has to rely on HUDs to heal everyone up, and it might take a couple of seconds for everyone to get topped up if you choose to keep them low. This might be a lot harder. So I'm not sure how this is going to work. This might be changed. I'm not overly excited about this. Lower keys, I see it as a good option. In higher keys, it's going to be extremely strong. You'll have to know exactly every boss mechanic. You'll have to know exactly when the damage is coming. And you have to keep your instant top-up heals ready when they're needed. So let me know. Let me know about this. Are you excited about the Mythic Dungeon Invitational? I know I am. I'm extremely excited. I can't wait to see the two teams that I mentioned, to see how they're going to do, the mechanics, the different paths that they're going to take. I want to see the rosters. Maybe they're going to change in the future. I'm not sure. Maybe they're going to play different classes, because you have to remember also that in the tournament realms, you can choose any class from... I've been told that you can choose and play any class that you want. So that's going to be really interesting. Let me know how you feel about the Blight affix. Let me know which team you think is going to be extremely strong. And thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you next time, guys.